We recently got the news of what the third movie in James Gunn's DCU is going to be, and weirdly enough, it is a solo Clayface movie. I don't know how I feel about it necessarily, but I'm going to talk about it and why this might work and give you kind of the updates and the news that we do know about this Clayface movie. So it is the third DCU movie confirmed. So we got Superman coming out this upcoming July. Then in June of 2026, we got Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow hitting theaters. And then September 11th, 2026, only 3 weeks before Batman Part 2, which kind of looks like it's going to get delayed again, we will be getting a solo Clayface movie. Interestingly, Matt Reeves' company, his production company, will be producing this film, but it is a DCU movie. Mike Flanagan is attached as the writer of the film. It looks like we already have the script handed in to James Gunn, because he said he doesn't greenlight anything unless there's actually a script there. So looks like the movie is already written, which is pretty cool, but we don't have a director. Mike Flanagan might direct, and if you're curious as to who Mike Flanagan is, he's essentially one of the better horror movie directors and writers out there in Hollywood. He did Dr. Sleep, The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, very, very popular horror movie director and writer. But he might not direct this movie because he's quite busy. He's working on a Carrie show for Amazon Prime, and I think he's directing an Exorcist reboot or remake or something like that. But again, he is a horror writer, he is a horror director, so this movie's, tagged as a horror thriller tragedy film, which I think is interesting, and it only has a reported $40 million budget, which is extremely, extremely low. Now, before I kind of get talking about the plot and kind of my ideas with everything there, one of the big questions that you might have is who is playing Clayface? We know Alan Tudyk is voicing Clayface in Creature Commandos in the show, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be the Clayface actor here, and there's a few reasons why that is. Number one, I do know that James Gunn said that he wants to bounce between live action and animation and keep the same, voice actors as the live action actors, but I don't think that's going to be the case here, and here's why. So, number one, there's 8 different Clayfaces in the comics, right? So there's 8 different people that picked up the mantle of Clayface. The Clayface that we're going to see in Creature Commandos doesn't necessarily have to be the Clayface of this movie. Number two, I think Alan Tudyk is a little old, especially if this is kind of a prequel, an origin story of Clayface. So I don't think that, he's the correct actor, the proper person for the role of this movie. And number three, just because he already voices him in Creature Commandos, it doesn't mean that he's tied to the character in live action. Like, again, even though James Gunn said that he wants to keep that sort of continuity between, the voice actors and the live action actors, it's not like that's gonna be the case for every single character, and it might not be possible for every single character. So I do not think that Alan Tudyk will be the Clayface in this film. Now, a good question is this Clayface the same Clayface in Creature Commandos? Now, I think that's a better question to ask. Is this, a prequel film? How's this going to work in terms of that? I mean, we know it's basically the origin of Clayface, but I think that's very interesting. I wanted to go back to the whole kind of what genre this plays in. So we know it's going to be a horror, a thriller, a tragedy type film. Our protagonist isn't going to be necessarily fully evil, I don't think. I think we're going to watch a man kind of descent into madness and into body horror, which causes him to become the Clayface that we know from the comics. I want to say that Mike Flanagan did say that he does love the Clayface arc in the Batman, the animated series show, so maybe, some inspiration will be taken from there as well. And I don't know, in terms of my opinion of like, oh, am I hyped for this Clayface movie? Listen, I'm going to watch anything anyways from, DC, so I'm going to watch it. But what is really interesting about this is it only has a $40 million budget. I don't think we're going to see the Clayface that we're used to seeing. I think it's going to be this prolonged origin story. It's going to have a lot of body horror. We're going to watch his body deteriorate and maybe not see the Clayface that we really are used to seeing until the end of the movie because of the budget, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But because it has a $40 million budget, this movie is probably going to be extremely profitable for DC Studios. It might not be the best idea for fans, and we might be a little underwhelmed with this being the third movie in the DCU, but a $40 million production budget, let's say they spend another $50 million on the marketing of this, you got like a little $90 million budget, and then whatever, the cuts are of the theaters. I think that this movie is going to be extremely profitable and a financial success for DC at the very least, which is something that they kind of need. You know what? We've seen villain things done well in the past. DC just released the Penguin show, which was absolutely fantastic, and that was a hit show. We had Joker 1, which did very well, did $1 billion. It's a beloved comic book movie. Joker 2, not so much. It had a large budget. It still made $200 million, but obviously, it's in the red there. But we had solid villain films. Even if you want to throw in like the first Venom or even the Venom trilogy, they're dumb fun. We've seen villain movies work in the past, so I'm intrigued to kind of see what they do here. I think at the very least this is gonna be a minor success for DC. I don't think it's gonna be a home run or anything like that, but it's a little single, it's a double. They're getting on base with this film here, and I think that it will be interesting to kind of see what they do for the narrative of this film. Like I said, I think it's gonna be this. I think the plot of the movie is gonna be Clayface being an actor, something happening to him, and his body just slowly starts to deteriorate with some really horrifying imagery, some really interesting body horror, until he kind of fully turns into the Clayface we all know and love at the end of the movie. I'm thinking that is the plot of this movie. That is everything that we know about the upcoming Clayface movie. That's my little plot prediction for the Clayface movie. And that's also why I think this movie is going to be a financial success for DC. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is, it's really a question for you guys, is do you like having Clayface be the sympathetic character? I see a lot of people complain about, just give us villains. They don't have to be anti-heroes or sympathetic or anything like that. But, I think at, the core of Clayface's character, it's this man that kind of lost himself. So I think there is sympathy to be had there, unlike the Penguin, say, or any other Batman villains out there that might not have the same amount of you might not have the same amount of sympathy for them. But so some people are complaining about that. The other thing is, a lot of people are saying just make it a villain movie. It doesn't have to be something that's necessarily just like, oh, he's an anti-hero now, he's not actually a villain, which is kind of what Sony's been doing with their Marvel films. But yeah, I don't know, what do you guys kind of want to see from this is my question for you, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask here. And the other interesting thing is Clayface he went down the hero path, if I'm not mistaken. He's one of the allies, I think, in the Rebirth Batman era, I think, if I'm not mistaken. It's something that they've been kind of trying to do. At least they might even start it in New 52 with, Clayface being more of a hero, or I guess anti-hero. Haven't read a lot of the Clayface heroic comics, I guess you could say. I just know that that's a thing in the comics. I don't think he's going to be a hero or like an anti-hero or anything in this movie, though. I don't think this movie is going to be that type of movie at all. Like I said, I told you what my plot prediction is. But anyways, I rambled on here at the end. Let me know what you guys think about the Clayface movie. Are you excited? Are you underwhelmed that this is our third movie in the DCU? Do you think it will be a box office success? Let me know down in the comments. Hit that subscribe button to join the nerd family. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have an amazing, fantastic, Clayfastic day.